This time we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Roll call. This action is taken by calling each board member's name with the board member answering present. Mr. Murray.
Present.
Mr. Selby.
Present.
Ms. Wilson.
Present.
Mrs. Higginbotham.
Present.
Mr. Kazsuk.
Present.
All board members present.
Next item is the adoption of the agenda.
The only thing, Mr. Kazsuk, is I failed to add the closing public comments before adjournment, but we can address that when we get down there to that. But that's, other than that, I have no corrections or amendments. I recommend the agenda be approved as presented.
I make a motion we approve the agenda with the closing on which we'll...
Is there a second?
A second.
Vote.
Mr. Murray.
Yes.
Mr. Selby.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham.
Yes.
Mr. Kazsuk.
Yes. Next item is public comments. Mr. Onion?
After Mr. Ford already answered one of my comments was going to be, I'm glad to see there was an opportunity later. But also today, my daughter's English teacher and another English teacher at the same, time, they gave their students a demonstration of drunk driving, which I really appreciated, thought was terrific. So I don't know if it's a part of the curriculum now, but
Sherry Coffee with the Family Resource Center for the high school. Family Resource Youth Service Center Director organized that, Mr. Onion, and thank you for acknowledging
it's
that.
terrific.
Yeah. Yep.
I was out there today, the kids was enjoying it. They was competing on their scores. They got a scorecard of how well they did and how well they didn't do. The only thing that there was a lot of distracted situations as far as alcohol or maybe impaired, but the real one would have been the phone. However, they don't have their phone, so we couldn't utilize that one, but they still participated and had a good time. It was actually really good.
Yeah, it's called Arrive Alive Tour.
Yeah.
Arrive Alive is what it's called.
It was a grant, kind of no cost, and
Yep.
the guy had drove from Michigan all night last night into this morning, and when he left here today, just kind of requested he go down. He wanted to know about landmarks. I told him just to drive and pass by the Doughboy and pass to go and see the marina. Go down and look at the marina. Then he was headed to Madisonville. He had to be there by in the morning. So he's traveling the circuit, but did a super good job. But he drives the vehicle. He's driving the vehicle. It's crazy. Because when I seen that, I said, "You drove that?" Because I expected to be on a trailer hauling it in. He drove it in. It's a black Jeep. Drove it in, sets it up. So it's really neat. It's a good program.
It is a very good program.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Have we heard anything else from the walkway?
Yes, Mr. Justin and I actually conversed back and forth on that on Friday, the architect, with the site survey, with the for the civil engineer about some of the elevations and stuff like that. Yeah,
Well,
we're still rolling right along with it.
Ain't there some way we could just, the maintenance crew and some of us volunteer and just put up a quick, something that's movable? I mean, we're not needing nothing permanent across through there. I mean, we could take 3 or 4 car sheds, put metal on it, put a raised floor, let the water run under it, and it don't need lights because we have school for daytime. And it don't need heat. Or something.
No, it's not going to be anything like
It's just
that.
something
Of
we
heat
can
or
tear down
lights
and
or
move
anything
for
like
something
that.
use for car storage after we got done with them.
Used for what, Mr.
We
Murray?
use them for the car parks. I park cars under mine.
Oh, like the portable carport?
Yeah,
I
we put
got
3 or
you.
4 of them together.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we'd asked them when they designed this, something that, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it could be dismounted
Yeah,
or
well,
disassembled,
that design they showed.
and reused.
That design don't look like something temporary. It looks like something you build a mansion with. I mean, come on.
Well, with
I mean, I
states
know
and
the rest of the school
codes.
looks good, but we're talking about something
yeah.
temporary, keep our kids dry, not to be in the order no photo contest or nothing, So, I don't know, I just don't,
Okay,
we
we
heard
can-
anything, I hadn't heard nothing.
Jack, we can talk to them again about the design with that.
But that would work and save a lot of money. And I mean,
I just know there's a lot of codes, but I understand what Joel's saying too, like, that's restructuring it, but.
Hey, they're pretty
I think there's a
strict.
lot. I don't know.
Yep, I don't either.
all except the water passage, we several fly together and put them up and 4 or 5 hours.
Well, just a
Haven't done it.
little bit of elevation would take care of the water, let it pass underneath them.
Yeah, well, you'd have to put a raised floor. to
Yeah,
do
that's
that.
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what I say, that'd be the only problem, but that wouldn't be no big deal. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't think it would.
But where we get into it though is like attaching to the building, then it brings in code enforcement.
Well, you could.
And plan review.
But now, we could bring it 6 inches from the building, and it's not, the code of access don't
Yeah.
apply to it. You can walk out one building into the other, and that eliminates the code, because it's a separate building,
Yeah.
and it's a temporary.
I can touch base back with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd save a whole lot of money and serve the same purpose, and after we get the school built, it might not even be needed.
Right, no, it won't for that direction.
Yeah, that's
when
what I'm
that's
saying.
done. That's right.
So there's no use in spending $1 million on something we'd do for probably a couple thousand or three. My thoughts only, so.
No, I got you. One other thing I do, Mr. Kazsuk, is we want to wish you a happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow is Mr. Kazuk's birthday.
You want to
And-
sing?
Do we want you to sing?
No, you don't.
Oh, okay.
You want this building cleared?
And then this is state week for our marching band. They did very well Saturday, and
Yeah.
then they'll be in the semifinals and then finals on Saturday. And this is district week for volleyball, so best wishes for them. They're playing tonight and we'll play again tomorrow night, providing. Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on.
Anything else? Next item on the agenda is Russell County Education Association Certified Employee Recognition. Russell County Middle School, Candy Campbell, School Counselor.
Miss Brenda didn't see you, Miss Candy.
She thought she was probably a young kid sitting back here.
She didn't make a big enough splash when she came in.
I know it, I didn't see her come in.
Oh, man. Miss Candy made me promise I'd do all the talking, so. It is my pleasure, though, to recognize Miss Candy tonight. I have known her family all my life. Of course, Daryl, he was teaching here when I was in school. And so, and then I've had their son in class and then worked with Miss Suzette, so I've known you all forever. And so it wasn't until I got here that I got to know Miss Candy. And she has held the family name and tradition up very well. She represents her family just like the rest of them. She is always very kind and friendly, never meets a stranger. And I'm going to start with her quote, be someone who makes everybody feel like somebody. And
She does that very well.
Miss Candy does that, and your whole family has done that
Yeah.
with me all my life. So I applaud all of you. Miss Suzette saw me out the other day and was kind of gigging us a little bit because you was getting the award. So anyway, Miss Candy, though, he teaches here at the Russell County Middle School, grades 6 through 8. She's actually our guidance counselor and does a marvelous job. Anytime I need her to help with a kid, no matter what the problem is, she's right there to help. And if she's already has a kid, she'll say, I'll be right with you. So much appreciation there. I saw that she has taught 27 years, Miss Candy. I wouldn't have thought that.
I didn't know
was
she was
more like
even that
10.
old.
It seems like it should be more like 10 or something another. But anyway, other schools and subject that she's taught in is Pulaski County. She was there for 2 years, but spent the last 25 here with us in Russell County since she's a Russell County. Previously taught 7th grade ELA, and then of course went to the library. She was at our library when I first came here, and now moved into the guidance counselor. Other colleges or colleges that she has attended at Lindsey Wilson, bachelor's in middle grades education, master's degree from WKU in elementary guidance, master's degree from WKU in high school guidance. My goodness, you've got a long list here, girl. Rank 1 from WKU in library media science. And when asked what she likes best about teaching, I am so thankful for the opportunities that God has given me to work with our youth. I have loved every position I've ever held in education. We have a wonderful staff at Russell County Middle School that are like my extended family, and I just feel so blessed to be a part of this great school. And under hobbies and activities, she's like most of us. If you have kids and teach, whatever they're in is what your hobbies and activities are. I have a teenage son who loves to golf, swim, and play basketball. My hobbies and activities revolve around him, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So give Miss Candy a round of applause. Everybody else is here of us. Okay. Thank you.
Congratulations, Miss Campbell. I've got to tell the story about Old Sultry. Can you? So Miss Campbell and I, she wasn't Campbell then, she was Miss Candy. A long time ago, we rode back and forth together to Western one summer, I think it was. And my old car, the air conditioner went out. Rita's laughing because she knows this story. Went out of it, and it was, them blazing hot summers, Mr. Onion. Well, I might try to stay after class or talk to somebody, and she'd go, "Come on, let's go get an old sultry and get home." Good times, good times.
He's trying to make her cool down, buddy.
No. She didn't want us to get any warmer outside. Let's get an old sultry and get home. The good Lord watched over us.
Next item on the agenda is construction projects update.
I'll give you all an update on a few different projects. First, the athletic projects, it's pretty much done. We're working on the BG5s now. There's a few warranty issues. I know we're still going to meet with the test technologies, work on that concrete. I think it's, and then the signs where we changed the name for the concession stand, they're ordered. We're just waiting on them to get here. Of course, that didn't get done till the end, so that'll say First National Bank Athletic Complex. And if you see out front, the sign itself, First National Bank Athletic sign, the block's laid. They've got about maybe a quarter of the brick laid and started today. By tomorrow, all the bricks should be laid and the stone on it. The only thing we'll be waiting on will be the letters. They'll take a few weeks to
And just for clarification, First National Bank is paying for that,
Right,
totally
100%.
separate. That's not under the money that they gave us for the naming rights agreement. That's between Branscomb's and First National Bank, but a nice looking sign, but that's at no cost to the board, and it's going to reference the First National Bank Athletic Complex.
It's going to be
very
lit,
nice.
be
Yeah.
backlit with LED lights, so we'll see it over now. It'll be a nice sign.
It'll be a very nice sign.
But after we get the brick laid, it should just be the lights on thing, or the letters be the only thing we're waiting on. So the rest of the athletic, like I said, it's pretty well done. We just got to complete the BG5, the last paperwork KD needs. We'll get that signed, get closeouts done, and that project will be closed out. Russell County ATC, the inside of the building's going on pretty well. Of course, we've been waiting on the switch gear. The switch gear has finally arrived. I think the only thing waiting on now, I think you've got to set up a new account with KU. That's the only thing that's got to be done. And then KU's going to be ready to hook up power. Once we get power on, we'll get the rest of the inside stuff done that we need humidification for. We'll get doors hung, ceilings start going in, floors start going in. We'll get the HVAC units
The
fired up.
restroom floors look phenomenal.
Yeah, the restroom floors, that epoxy is done. It'll just be the remaining VCT down to some of those classrooms in the corridor. So the concrete work that was changed over between the building, that's all complete. Those drains are in, so take care of the water problem. I know it looks 100%
Mr. Murray and I, we were just talking about that before the meeting started, how good that looks.
And we won't have the problem with water going into the old building now. It's all going to go in that trench drain and go around the building. At the back of the building, the other work where we're working on that bank, about 90% of it's done. The only thing we got to do is put the rock on it. It runs along your adjacent property owner there. That's all been regraded. We just got to get the fabric and stone down on it, and that will all be complete. So the work on the ATC, although we got a few things to do, it's not a great deal of work. Probably by next month, we're going to be wrapped up over the ATC if everything goes well. So by December 1st, we should be about ready to turn that one over to you. It's actually ahead of schedule, what the original schedule was supposed to be. So by that time, we should be ready to turn that over. We can start putting stuff in over there. So that project's progressing very nicely. And then I want to give you an update on the bus garage field house. Came out to bid this week. It's on Lynn Imaging. Drawings are out. Contractors are already picking up drawings. The pre-bid schedule in here for October the 31st. The bid date is November 21st. So the project's out on the street. It will get advertised in the paper over the next 2 weeks. So that advertisement will come out. We've got to advertise it twice, 2 weeks in the paper for advertising. But the project's out to bid. There's been a lot of interest in it already. A lot of people's already picking up plans, starting to ask questions. So, and that'll only get more as we get closer to the pre-bid. So everything's out, it's on the street. Shouldn't be any issues. I think bidders are going to be good because people's looking for that work that's going to be next year work. So I think there's a lot of bidders out there looking for work. So should have a good bid once we get back on bid day. Any questions on any of the projects?
What about the bus garage?
Same thing, it went out together.
Bus garage and
Oh, and it's all
it's all
together.
one project,
Okay.
it's all out together. yeah.
Okay.
And when those bids do come back, we're actually gonna have 2 bid forms that get added together to get your total base
You'll see.
bid. You're all gonna know what the bus garage costs and also what the athletic fields. It's still one project, so you'll get,
Right.
still be one contract
Okay.
for each bid package, but you're gonna know the cost of each. We're asking them to break that cost out so you can kind of see what it is. The dollars are the same, it's all in the same BG one. Any other questions? Okay.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Our treasurer's report for the month of September 2024, the balance on hand at the beginning of the month was $12,769,722.20. The balance of the receipts for the month, $1,856,241.75. The total of receipts and beginning balance together, $14,625,963.95. The disbursements for the month were $3,052,772.02, and that brought our balance at the close of the month to $11,573,186.93. And our fund balances for the general fund, Fund 1, $9,381,117.73. Special projects, Fund 2, $509,738.49. District activity, Fund 21, negative $44,595.86. Capital outlay, Fund 310, $133,398 even. FSPK building fund, Fund 320, $510,434.68. Construction, Fund 360, $1,291,015.21. Debt service, Fund 400, negative $843,453.13. Food service, Fund 51, $633,489.41. Fiduciary fund, Fund 7,000, $2,042.40. Total cash and bank for all the funds is $11,573,186.93. So I will point out the debt service in the negative, and FSPK, the building fund where we get those funds from. I could have transferred that $500,000 down, but then we'd have 2 funds in the negative, and it's all for the same reason, which is we just haven't got tax money yet. So at the beginning of next month, we get our October tax collections. We'll get that in the black, and it'll stay that way the rest of the year as soon as we get that in, so.
All right. So you have the previous meeting minutes, payment of bills, school activity fund reports, field trips, and the treasurer's monthly report. If there are no changes or amendments, I recommend approval of the consent agenda items.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second?
All right.
Vote?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Selby,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham.
Yes.
Mr. Kazoo.
Yes.
Number 2, I've been advertising that, possibly.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution, Kentucky Constitutional Amendment 2.
So this is staff note and a proposed resolution for the board to consider regarding the constitutional amendment 2. It's got a lot of attention lately, and just to bring some clarity before the resolution, if Mr. Kazsuk, if it's okay, I know you all have it in your board packet, but I will read that in its entirety. But I do want to read how it will appear on the ballot. I've just got a little note here. It says Amendment 2 will appear on every Kentucky voter's ballot and poses the following question. To give parents choices and educational opportunities for their children, are you in favor of enabling the General Assembly to provide financial support for the education cost of students in kindergarten through 12th grade who are outside the system of common public schools by amending the Constitution of Kentucky as stated below. So that's the first part, and then you'll have the second part on the ballot. The General Assembly may provide financial support for the education of students outside the system of common schools. The General Assembly may exercise this authority by law. Sections 59, 60, 171, 183, 184, 186, and 189 of this Constitution notwithstanding. And so just a couple of points there, that when it says outside the system of common schools, that's not my language, that's actual common schools, that's language in the Kentucky's Constitution. And something else I think that is key, when we have these 7 sections of the Constitution and it says notwithstanding, that means that we can disregard without reference to those parts of the Constitution. So the proposed resolution, obviously as a public school district, this would be in opposition to Amendment 2. But again, Mr. Kazsuk, if it's all right, I'll just read it here, what we have. Resolution supporting the use of state dollars to exclusively fund the common system of public schools. Whereas, to eliminate the disparities in schooling options across the Commonwealth, the Kentucky Constitution established a common system of public schools, creating a uniform framework that ensures all public schools operate under consistent rules. Whereas the common system of public schools is designed to provide equal educational opportunities for all Kentucky children, regardless of place of residence or economic circumstances. Whereas the common public schools must be monitored by the Kentucky General Assembly to assure that they are operated without waste, duplication, mismanagement, or political influence. Whereas schools outside the common system of public schools are not subject to the same accountability and transparency requirements as the common public schools in areas such as academic standards, finances, teacher qualifications, and student assessment, which can lead to inconsistencies in educational quality. Whereas it is the responsibility of the Kentucky General Assembly to adequately fund the system of common public schools, and the creation of separate systems will lead to funding inequities and operational inefficiency. Whereas using state funds to support schools outside the common system of public schools diverts essential resources from public schools, weakening their capacity to effectively serve all students. This practice will also increase segregation based on socioeconomic status, race, and religion, thereby undermining the principles of equity and inclusivity that are fundamental to our public educational system. Whereas the Russell County Board of Education is committed to ensuring that each and every Russell County Schools learner becomes an engaged citizen, empowered learner, prepared to lead a life filled with purpose. Whereas the Russell County Board of Education is resolute in its position that public tax dollars should be allocated exclusively to public schools within the common system of schools. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Russell County Board of Education opposes any legislation or policy that would allocate state dollars to fund schools outside the common system of public schools, and believes that the best way to ensure that all students in Kentucky receive a high-quality education is by supporting the existing public education system. Be it further resolved that the board stands ready to work with the Kentucky General Assembly to advise on matters of education policy, to elevate Kentucky's system of common schools to a national model that provides vibrant learning experiences for every student regardless of background. And be it further resolved that the Russell County Board of Education urges the Kentucky General Assembly to prioritize investments in public education and continue to partner with the public school districts across our Commonwealth to support initiatives that strengthen existing public schools so that all the students have access to the resources and opportunities they need to succeed. So it is fair to say that the constitutional amendment that's on the ballot right now does not authorize private school funding with public dollars, that it doesn't authorize vouchers with public dollars. That is accurate. That is fair to say that it is just opens the door. But that is absolutely, it opens the door for every one of those things to happen. And be not misguided in anything. I've received some flyers in the mail. Many of you all probably have received flyers in the mail. It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Increased teacher pay and all those things like that. It's a farce, in my opinion. Just plain and simple. There's one pot of money, and that money will be further diluted if funds goes out to private schools, vouchers, whatever you want to call it. I have no opposition. I've referenced this on the radio I have no opposition to folks that want to homeschool or send their children to private school. We've got some great home schools right here in Russell County, but public school dollars, when our Constitution was initially set forth in Kentucky, are meant for public schools, and we need those dollars now more than ever. Our nurses, for example, are not paid by an allocation from the General Assembly. Our nurses are paid with our partnership with Cumberland Family Medical, okay? Our school resource officers this year, and I'm very fortunate, and I've expressed my appreciation to the General Assembly. Until this year, we did not receive funding for our school resource officers. Our local municipalities, our cities of Russell Springs and Jamestown, our fiscal court, sheriff's office in Jamestown, Russell Springs PD, they stepped up and entered those partnership and contributed funds, and the district picked up all those. I say all of that because it's not like school districts are awash in cash and have an opportunity. Furthermore, every student that we lose has so many far-reaching implications. Bond payments, for example, existing and future bond payments. All of that is based upon attendance. Marla, Ms. Carnes could go on and on about that. Let's support what we have, is what I'm asking folks to do. I referenced on the radio, you know, our family resource centers do so much for kids. We have a pantry. We take kids to the dentist. We put eyeglasses on kids. In addition to the great teaching and learning, I'm going to reference some of our test scores here in a minute, to the great teaching and learning that takes place. So it is my recommendation that the board adopt this resolution in opposition to Amendment 2 as presented.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Selby, Mr. Murray? Okay.
Yep. Vote?
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Ms. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Kazsuk?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Next item is 2023-2024 assessment and accountability data for Russell County Schools.
Okay, board, we want to set our date. At some point, I'll get with you all, set that special board meeting date where we just sit down with the principals, you know, and
Like we did last year.
yeah, we've done that for the past several years. We talked about that today in the principals meeting. They enjoy it. I think you all enjoy it. It's just a good opportunity and a good conversation that we sit down with our schools and just talk about, like I told them today, where they're at, what they're doing, and where we want to go. But I do want to bring out some highlights of our test scores, and I want to publicly thank Zach and WGRS. I think you all did a great job on reporting those each day and highlighting each school, and I know that takes a lot of time, Zach, so we appreciate that. I also want to highlight this, because I think this is pretty significant. Our educational cooperative is GREC, Green River Regional Educational Cooperative, has over 40-something school districts, okay? And so for the elementary school, this is the overall combined indicator rate. So this is kind of everything put together in one number. Russell County, for the elementary school, was 74. The co-ops for all those elementary schools out of 47, I think it's 47 districts now, so you can imagine how many elementary schools, their combined indicator rate was 64. So we're 10 points above on elementary for our elementary schools. Great. Russell County High School was 75.7 for us. Our co-ops high school combined indicator rate for the high school was 65.9. So again, a significant advantage. And the middle school was 62.4. Our co-op was 58.3. Those are numbers that I'm really proud of our schools. I'm proud of our faculty and staff, our administrators, our students. Those things don't just happen by accident. Ms. McFall and Ms. Jamie Shear and I went around and met with each principal and each instructional coach individually just to talk about test scores and school improvement and things, and we've really enjoyed that opportunity. But just a few other highlights that I want to note. So the state does assign a color rating that brings all these things into play. Russell Springs was again, it's blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And Russell Springs was blue again, outstanding performance of that. Jamestown was green, their overall color was green. Salem went down and they're yellow, and Miss KJ was aware of some concerns that they were a little weaker in, and have really got a good plan in place. The middle school is yellow, but one thing that's really we're proud of with the middle school is they dropped their gap group with students with disabilities. And so students with disabilities, students that are free and reduced lunch eligible, English language learner, you compare those to the overall student population. And if the gap is very large, then the state says the gap is too big and you're identified as that. So they reduced those gap, which is very, very good and significant. And the high school was a really, really good, solid green and did really, really well. Just some ACT scores, and again, I know you all have heard this and you have this report from the high school. We fared very well with the state. English, we've had 17.6 and the state average was 17.4. Mathematics is 17.9, the state average was 17.6. This next one is the only area that we were below the state. It was reading, it was 18.1 and the state was 18.7. Science, we were even at 18.6 and our composite was even with the state at 18.2. So again, a lot of things to celebrate with the schools, and each school is very, very much aware of things that they need to work on as well. So it's, you know, you always take the good and celebrate that and say how we can maintain that. But then with state assessment, you always have to grow as well. So it's not just a one-time snapshot. You always have to grow. That's one reason it's so important, the investment that this district makes on benchmark data like MAP, where students take that MAP assessment in the fall, winter, and then again in the spring before the KSA data, so we can have a good indicator of where students are going to perform. And oftentimes, the coaches can tell you this, students will perform better on the end of year assessment than they do on their MAP data, on their MAP testing, which is good. We want it to be a hard benchmark as you go through. So I just want to hit a few little highlights of some things for this, but again, we will have that good working meeting with you all and sit down, and you all been through that. We've been doing that several years now, not to take action on, but just to listen to each school, their principal, and just to talk about where their schools are at. So again, I want to thank our faculty and staff and administration for their hard work, thank the students for their performance, and thank our community and the parents and guardians certainly for their support. So there's no action or anything on that.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is Russell County School District's Trauma-Informed Approach Plan.
KRS 158.4416 defines a trauma-informed approach as incorporating principles of trauma awareness and trauma-informed practices in a school in order to foster a safe and stable and understanding learning environment for all students and staff, ensuring that all students are known well by at least one adult in the school setting. And then we have to have a trauma-informed plan. There's no two people better to talk about that than Ms. Michaela Vaughn and Ms. Cindy Damery.
Well, this is kind of like, I said today, this is kind of like our soapbox. Like, we can do this all day long. Because we like to talk about it, we like to train about it. But we're going to talk less than 5 minutes, so you're good. Okay, you have the plan in front of you. Let me just very briefly just remind you of why it's important that we have a plan. First of all, it's the law, but why we get on our soapbox about it is because a trauma-informed approach plan acknowledges that a significant portion, and I will emphasize significant portion, of our population has likely experienced some kind of trauma, and that trauma has in fact had an impact on their body, both physical and psychological. So the trauma-informed approach allows us to look at those potential impacts and make a safer, more supportive environment for them. And it helps us basically recognize why the behavior is occurring. An example of that is just like trauma can trigger hyperactivity in the lower part of your brain, and you make impulsive choices and irrational responses to that, and kind of puts a person in survival mode. But the trauma-informed care approach that we try to do kind of takes that into account and helps us move kids from just surviving into thriving. And that's what we want for them in the school system. So the plan you before you is the template from the state, and we have made it, we've used that template and then wrote our plan. There are 6 components to it, and Ms. Michaela and I are just going to very briefly give you one aspect from those 6 components. So just to start, component one ensures that all students are known well by at least one adult in the school setting, and every school has a plan for how to make sure that they know that every student has a person in the school setting. And I'll just give a shout out to the middle school specifically because it has become a language with them. It's not just something they do once, it is a conversation, and the high school as well, that we have all the time when we'll be going, hey, there's an issue with so-and-so, and before I can ask, one of their counselors, like Miss Katie that was here a while ago, will say to me, wait, do they have a person? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna pull them first thing in the morning and find out, make sure they know that you can go to this person. They're so good at that. Absolutely so good at that. Okay, the second component, enhancing trauma awareness throughout the school community. First of all of our new staff and certified and classified attend bounce training, which we get to do every year, which is the most favorite part of our job. You could put us on the road and let us do that every year, and I think we'd be happy. We could do it all day, every day. So we
But
just make sure.
that's an investment.
It is an investment.
You know, well, it was before COVID, when we started working with the Bounce Coalition. We were ahead of a lot of school districts before this ever came down the pike regarding trauma-informed practices. And then Miss Michaela, Mrs. Dameron, every year keep that momentum. He's going to fix that son for you.
I think it's a road. Yeah.
And we keep that momentum going and training the new staff.
And we love it. And again, it's become the language of the schools, and they talk about it in PLCs and when they're trying to vet what's going on with the kids. So they're great.
And they really took to it, actually.
Yeah.
Like, lots of middle school, high school will say that to me, that as I go in and talk about kids or concerns. They will say that language back to me.
Yeah.
Especially if we've done the training and I know they've been through the training.
Yeah.
Then they'll verbatim say it back to me or some form of language
Good.
back to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And staff that are in this profession for the right reason love people.
Yes, they
and if
do.
you love people, this is important to you.
Right.
So, okay, component 3.
Okay, so component 3, we do the assessments for the school. We actually just did one of those assessments today at our middle school. We did the KIP survey today. And so the KIP survey is basically, it's one of the largest school student-based surveys that we do to see how they are related to the alcohol, tobacco use, other drugs around them, with them. It asks them questions of, have you used within the last little bit? And so that helps us, how are we going to combat this as a school? How are we going to talk with them? What programs are we going to put in to help them and support them to try to do this? Because obviously we know it messes with brain chemistry, it messes with how we react to things, how we retain, messes with a lot of things. But also the KIP survey is also good for helping us, not just us, lots of school districts use it to help with grant writing because it shows where our greatest needs are. And so it helps us to better serve our kids in general. So that is the Kentucky Incentives for Prevention survey. But so that is what we do those. Then we do the impact and the KSA survey as well to take care of that, to make sure that we're taking care of our kids, making sure that we're getting all the things. KIP also has questions in there about suicide. So that gives us a good rank about mental health where we are.
It's getting to be so bad.
And so how our kids are managing as well. Because sometimes if I ask them, they're not going to tell me always straight up, but they might tell a survey because it's completely anonymous.
Yeah,
nobody
have no name
knows.
on it.
It cannot be tracked back to their computer. I mean, it could be tracked back to their computer, but nobody's going to.
No one's going to.
It's completely anonymous, completely confidential. And they are told that before the survey.
Usually it's given every 2 years, but
It is.
there was a delay this time. It's not been
Yes.
given since 2021 by the
Yes.
state.
Yes.
We will invite you back
Okay.
to go over that data when the KIP data is out.
Should be in the spring.
Yes.
Should be back in the spring, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm working to turn all that stuff in.
Yes. We'll have you back to talk about that data. That's good information.
It is good information. Very good. Very good. Yes.
Component 4 is developing trauma-informed discipline policies. We had a team from each of the schools, a representative from each of the schools on our team, and we rewrote that policy about a year ago. And so now instead of just responding with some kind of punitive measure, we also respond with, okay, how are we going to help that child make a better choice next time with transitions back into school after suspensions and alternative schools. And again, they're doing a great job with that. Component 5, handle with care.
Handle with care. We collaborate with all of our police agencies in the county, Sheriff's Department, Russell Springs, Jamestown, State Police, and then we even go as far with, sometimes with fire departments will contact us as well and tell us things are going on. We get these emails through the night, through the week, the middle of the morning. We get them a lot. They send them out, not as much recently, but they will also just send us a text sometimes and say, hey, been out to this house, hey, something happened last night. And so I utilize Handle with Care a lot. I know our guidance counselors do as well, and some of our principals, admin do a lot. And we kind of send that internally. We figure out who their teachers are and just shoot the teachers a quick message and say, hey, this is confidential, but hey, guess what? Something happened last night. They might not be in the best mood today. Let's not pick on them too much. Let's let them deal, and then if it keeps going, then we'll intervene. But today, give them grace. They need some grace.
Just think what a difference that could make, though. If the police was at your house the night before, you probably didn't sleep well,
Yeah.
you're in an ill mood, and then if your teacher knew it, like you said, could have a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
And just somebody could connect with them.
Yeah.
And so instead of me brushing up against them and they swing up and, throw a punch at me, and those things happen because they're so on edge, but it's really preventative and just really right in line with all
And our
of this.
teachers really take hold of that too.
Yeah.
They're very concerned about their students. They will always, what happened? Are they okay? Like, do we need to do something? So it's also good to involve our teachers too, for them to know that as well. Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff that we would call in sick for the next day. That's what gets me is
Yeah.
we wouldn't go to work the next day.
Yeah.
But they come to school.
Yeah.
So that's, component 6, of social and emotional learning, making sure that our kids know how to make good choices and how to foster positivity in their lives. There's some things on there that we do for all students. There's some things on there that we do for small groups of students. The kids that need the most intervention, I want Ms. Michaela to give you an update on our referrals for mental health counseling because it's staggering.
So every year, of course, we are very blessed as a school district. I'll say that as much as I possibly can to brag on them with the amount of mental health agencies that come into our schools and love on our kids. That's what I say. They love on our kids, and they do. They are that support, that non-judgmental support that these kids have extra. And so we have amazing counselors that come in. Could not think of a better team to have that I get to work with every day. I'm blessed with that. But I keep a list. I always ask them for an updated list just to keep, so I know to cut down on double referrals because I can get into some insurance stickiness, and I don't want that when any of these kids seen. But in the process of that, also keep the numbers. And so to date, right now, I got an updated list last week from everybody. We have 371 students in our school district across the board. We're talking preschool to 12th grade. All across our district, which is about 12% of our school district in mental health counseling. And that is just the counselors that have agreements with our school. That is not the kids that are going to Family Medical or Adonta or Bluegrass or Second Mile and they're being seen in clinic. That's not counting them. That just is the kids that are being seen here in our buildings. And also just the agencies that I have contact with every day with our agreements that we have.
Miss
So-
Michaela helps connect a lot of dots for a
do.
lot of families and a lot of kids.
Yes. Lots of kids.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Are you all going to sing? Now, they do sing. They do sing.
We're rusty.
Oh, okay.
Rusty.
Well,
Nobody's invited us back for a while, so I don't know what that says.
You know what that means, don't you?
we do appreciate you all, and I appreciate just the district as a whole. You all approve those MOUs. Some school districts don't. Mrs. Damer and I have always shared the same thought that if we don't open up a door, a lot of the kids would not be able to get therapy outside of school hours.
Yes.
The parents could not get them after school and get them to a clinic, or they don't have a means, or it just wouldn't happen. And we have to prioritize sometimes some mental health issues before we get into the better grades and all those other types of things. So, yeah, we appreciate you both very much. You do good work for our kids.
Yes, we do.
And adults. And adults.
She does do adult referrals.
I make a motion we approve it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
It was horrible.
Brenda second. I mean,
Brenda,
motion.
yeah.
And Joy second.
Joy second.
Okay.
Vote?
I'm on the wrong page.
Wrong for you.
Yep. There we go. Okay. Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Kazsuk?
Yes.
Is my turn again to be on the calendar? Apparently.
Next item on the agenda is school year 2025-2026 District Calendar Committee.
I know that it's not even, 2024 is not over yet, but we're planning 2025-26 school year. Just about another month or two, we live in 2 school years. I always say December on, you kind of live in 2 school years. So KRS, and you all are very familiar with this, KRS 158.070, it's attached, requires the local boards of education, upon recommendation of the local school district superintendent, annually appoint a school district calendar committee to review, develop, and recommend school calendar options. So I've listed suggested committee members beside each position, and each person listed has agreed to serve pending your approval. So I want to just make note again, the initial part, for example, district principal, district central office administrator, all those parts are what's highlighted by the law. We have to have those positions, and then we plug them in. So a district principal, Shannon Tarter, Russell County High School principal, 1 school district office administrator other than the superintendent, Melissa McFall, director of curriculum instruction, and Mrs. Dameron will come and help facilitate and things as well, but she'll be like me. She'll be a non-voting member on that committee. A member of the local board of education, Ms. Brenda Hickenbotham, 2 parents of students attending school in the district, Morgan Glover and Nathan Stearns, 1 school district elementary school teacher, Brittany Creech at Russell Springs Elementary School, and 1 middle school or high school teacher, Rhonda Kimbler, Russell County middle school teacher, and then she also represents Russell County Education Association, so we always appreciate that. 2 school district classified employees, Jason Coffey, Salem Elementary School, a nurse, and Tammy McFall, Jamestown Elementary School attendance clerk, and 2 community members from the local Chamber of Commerce, Business or Tourism, Brittany Stevens, I know that's a typo probably on your thing, but it's Brittany Stevens, the Russell County Chamber of Commerce President, and Danielle Wilson, Russell County Tourism Director. So we will, Mrs. Damer and I will get together, get some dates set, start working with the committee, and then usually by the December school board meeting for the past few years, we've had you all that draft calendar to approve. So the first, when we present it to the board to begin with, is just a public hearing only before we take a vote. So I recommend that the Russell County Board of Education appoint the school year 2025-2026 local school district calendar committee as presented.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second,
Second.
Brenda.
Okay.
Vote?
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Kazsuk?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is School Facilities Construction Commission, Kentucky Education Technology System, offer of assistance.
So the School Facilities Construction Commission, or the SFCC, has presented a CATS offer of assistance in the amount of $30,971, and then I've attached the offer of assistance. I recommend acceptance of the SFCC CATS offer of assistance and escrow the full amount of $30,971 up to 3 years.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Vote?
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Kazsuk?
Yes. Next item is contracts, memorandum of agreements.
We have one with Cornerstone. It's our updated drug testing agreement to keep prices the same, and maybe parts of it just a little bit lower for students and employees, and there's been no issue, and I recommend it. We will do a rapid test, and only if it's positive will it go for the lab analysis, and that's worked really well in a lot of other school districts, and that's being offered to us. Of course, the federal motor carrier law for bus drivers and things is different, but for employees and students, we can do that with that, and that's part of the changing with the pricing and proposal with Cornerstone. The Wilderness Education Project, that is the same entity that is funding Mr. Sloan, Mick Sloan's grant. This grants facilitator with Jason Gibson, all expenses will be paid by Wilderness Education Project. The money will go through us They will pay us, we will pay them, Mr. Gibson, and we're just like a pass-through, if you will. But in doing that, we get 10 days of Mr. Gibson. He's a really excellent behavioral consultant, and he will be working with our students, or we can utilize him for 10 days within the district in cooperation with the Wilderness Education Project. So it's at no cost to the district whatsoever. The Commonwealth of Kentucky, the supplemental CTE funds, there was a reduction in the amount from the original fund that you all had. No, Ms. Rita, I don't have that right in front of me. Do you remember off the top of your head what that reduction was of the CTE? It's 20-something, I think.
CTE?
Yes.
Well, since January, it's been about 47,000 from January of this year, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the revised contract, which will not change again. They said this is
That one wasn't the full amount, no. About at least 20,000.
Yeah, this one was 20-something. You're thinking the original amount for the last school year.
Yeah.
But we had this original allocation for this school year. They had to do some reallocations of some funds, nothing to do with us. They just did this for across the board. There was a formula error, yes. And so this is a revised contract for that. And then the last one is the Martin School travel. It's the senior trip to New York. So I recommend approval of the contracts or memorandums of agreements that's been approved by the board attorney.
Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Gerald. Second?
Second.
Brenda.
Okay.
Vote?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Selby,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazoo.
Yes. Next item is telehealth nurse stipend.
So as your staff note reads, we were recently notified that Cumberland Family Medical Center were providing a telehealth stipend, each employee to be paid $200 bi-weekly for extra duties they have to perform related to telehealth. Cumberland Family Medical is also extending this stipend to the nurses that are directly employed by Russell County Schools that we partner with Cumberland Family Medical for the Healthy Kids Clinic. And this stipend will be retroactive to the beginning of the current school year. So we will, just like we do now with our nurses, we will pay them, they'll come through us, and then Cumberland Family Medical will pay us back. I mean, that's as simple as you can say it, isn't it, Miss Patty? Just for the extra work, I guess, if you want to say it, they go through with facilitating telehealth with the nurse practitioner. Anything else to add to that, Miss Patty? So I really appreciate Cumberland Family Medical providing this to the nurses. So I recommend approval of the telehealth stipend for the school nurses as presented. Again, we'll pay it, but it comes back directly to us from Cumberland Family Medical, just like they do now with the nurse's salary.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Gerald?
Vote?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Selby,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazuk.
Yes.
Well, getting closer on down. Stop that, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is out-of-state and/or overnight trips.
The following groups have received approval from the superintendent for the following out-of-state and overnight trips. Russell County Middle School, the KYA, November 7th to the 9th, the Kentucky YMCA's Kentucky Youth Assembly in Louisville, Kentucky, and then Russell County High School, October 23rd to the 25th, Indiana Convention Center for Indianapolis, Indiana, the FFA, November 13th to the 14th, Ed Rising at Murray State University, November 15th, FFA to the North American Livestock Show and Rodeo in Louisville, Kentucky, November 15th to the 17th, DECA Power Trip, State Executive Council in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is our first time having somebody in the State Executive Council, isn't it, with DECA?
Bailey Dawson.
Yes, very prestigious, Bailey Gosser. So she and the advisor will be the ones going to that. But just a shout out to them, that's just outstanding. And then November 24th to the 26th, the Y Club at the high school for the Kentucky Youth Assembly in Louisville. So I recommend approval of the out-of-state and overnight trips.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
You make the motion? Gerald? Second?
Second.
Joy?
Throw me out there.
George?
Yeah, Joy second.
Okay.
Gerald? Vote?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Selby,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazoo.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is students shortened school day and/or week.
The local board of education must approve requests for students to have a shortened school day and/or week. The decision is determined by the needs of the student. The documentation, including the board's recommendation, is then submitted to the Kentucky Department of Education. I recommend a shortened school day for the following students, or week for the following students: ID S25-01, S25-02, S25-03, and S25-04, and that necessary documentation is then forwarded to the Kentucky Department of Education.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Selby. Vote?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Selby,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazoo.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is school-wide fundraiser approvals.
The following groups have received approval from the superintendent for the listed fundraisers. James Elementary School, October 17th, and they had their fall festival. October the 15th to the 22nd, book fair. December the 3rd, Christmas extravaganza. October the 25th through November the 8th, they're doing t-shirt sales. And then January 30th through the February 7th, they're having a book fair. And then they'll have a closing book fair on May 8th to the 16th. I recommend approval of the school-wide fundraisers.
She's having a bad time.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Gerald. Vote?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Selby,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazoo.
Yes. Okay. Next item is 6-month review, Russell County Schools Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services Plan.
We're still obligated to do this. This might be the last 6-month review of this plan. You all have seen this now every 6 months now for a few years. But Senate Bill 1 passed during the Kentucky legislative session in 2021. All school districts to develop a COVID-19 operations plan and review and revise the plan every 6 months. The only change that was added in this guidance was that instead of specifically mentioning COVID, it just references a virus-specific guidance instead of just singling out COVID. And then we also included the respiratory virus guidance snapshot is included in the plan. So that's the only thing that's been added or changed since the previous plan. So this plan is submitted to the Kentucky Department of Education after your all's approval, but KDE does not approve it. They're just a storehouse, if you will. And then we have to post it on the district website. So I recommend the revised Russell County Schools Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services Plan, what's referred to as the School Operations Plan, be approved as presented.
Need a motion? Bill Vick?
Gerald's beat the check.
Gerald?
Mr. Murray? Okay.
Second?
I'll second it.
George?
Okay.
Vote?
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham?
Yes.
Mr. Kazoo?
We
Yes.
hope we're done with COVID. I'm tired of that. Yes, sir. We're done with them.
Next item on the agenda is school board district descriptions.
This is just a informational item. It's nothing, you all have not voted to change the districts or anything like that. I just wanted to have this on the agenda just for review. Really want to note that I so appreciate Ian Cole with the Lake Cumberland Area Development District. He worked very hard on getting the written descriptions for each of your all's school board member districts and the boundaries. And of course, I've attached each one of those. I mean, they're really specific. I know I sent those to you all to review. If there's any issues or anything like that, just let us know. We can get back with them. But he's done a lot of good work with those, and you know, for each of your districts, and then noted with the map is too. But when you read something that says thence turn southwest and follow a line 1,290 feet, it gets really detailed, doesn't it? Yeah, he's done a really, really good job. So I appreciate Mr. Cole at the ad office and other folks probably worked on it as well, but he was the one that really spearheaded it. So just want to note that that is done. I know the county clerk's office had requested that, so that's taken care of.
Next item is personnel reports.
Personnel reports, Michael Pierce, Jamestown Elementary School, hired as evening custodian. Jeff Turney, Russell Springs Elementary School, he was already a custodian there, but now he's the head custodian. David Cottrell, Russell Springs Elementary School, hired as the evening custodian. Emma Schutz, she resigned as the MSD aide at Russell Springs Elementary School. Mr. Brian McClanahan, Russell Springs Elementary School, he resigned as the head custodian. Elizabeth Bradshaw, Salem Elementary School, hired as primary instructional assistant. Daisy Pratt, Russell County Middle School, hired as the cheer coach. Laya Talsma, resigned as the softball pitching coach. Tanya Rexroth, you all know she retired as the director of federal programs. Marissa Roy and Erin Henderson, hired both as district substitute teachers.
And we're public comments. Mr. Brennan?
Actually, just one question based on something you said just a minute ago. Is there, this school year, have there been any students who tested positive for COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Kobe being one of them. So,
I'm sure that
I don't have
Yeah.
any question that they're handled properly.
yeah, and staff as well. You know, and you can't, you're not supposed to come back till so many days after your symptoms subside and things like that. But yeah, it's still there for 100%.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
amazing. After 5 years.
Anything else? Brenda, you're up.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Oh, I had to.
What do you have? We have to
No, yeah,
re-adjourn.
here, I forgot Miss Carol had this on good paper for me. Sign that.
Let me have a kiss.
Okay.
That's all we'll do it in red.
Who seconded?
Anybody second?
Mr. Selby.
Mr. Selby
That's
did.
who I had marked.
Okay.
Everybody did.
Okay.
There you go.
All in favor?
Raise your right hand. So, let me give
They were good right there.
you.